All right, welcome to the Armchair Commanders podcast. My name is John,
And I'm Jack.
and this week we are reviewing 2020's The Outpost, starring Eastwood. I can't ever remember his first name. Is it Clint Eastwood's son?
Scott Eastwood.
Yeah, featuring that guy.
Do you have trouble saying Scott?
Yeah, I do. I got a problem with the name Scott. What about it?
Nothing. It's just that I figured that it's your middle name.
We don't talk about that.
All right. Whatever.
I'm a little confused because I have the internets pulled up here, and IMDb said this film came out in 2019, but then Wikipedia says 2020.
Maybe it was both.
Oh, okay, never mind. So it had its world premiere at the Thessaloniki International Film Festival in November, and it was supposed to premiere in America at South by Southwest, but it was canceled due to COVID. And then it was pretty much just released direct to Netflix at that point. Which I actually do recall this being like a COVID movie. Like, you know, because I actually remember seeing it when it first came out. Because while everybody else was watching Tiger King, I was like, let's be different and watch random Netflix suggested straight release movies. But I don't know about you, but I thought this was a pretty good film.
Oh, it was fantastic. I loved this movie.
What initially made you go with it?
The piss bottles.
The piss bottles.
The piss bottles. I don't know. It's just I didn't actually think about what movie I wanted to watch, so I just fucking spitballed a war movie.
That's fair. I will
I'm
say,
glad I did.
The piss bottle it's an underrated character in this film.
Right? Just has this warm golden glow about it.
So for those who might have forgotten or haven't seen the film yet, there's a scene where Commander number 3 in our lineup of Lemony Snicket's unfortunate events.
Defense Against the Dark Arts Professors.
Yeah, whichever series you want to go with. If you're a commander at Cop Keating, you are either a Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher who's not going to make it, or you are the like pseudo guardian to the Lemony Snicket's kids and are also not going to make it.
Or who is I think it was the bassist in Spinal Tap or the drummer that that either keeps dying or getting fired.
Something like that. But Commander number 3, my least favorite commander, by the way.
Oh yeah, he's a prick.
Like, you get him, you wonder, like, you kind of feel him to begin with. Like, he's just kind of, he takes the role of the strict, no nonsense, like, by the book type thing. Like, we're here to accomplish a specific job and we're going to do that. But then it just starts rubbing people the wrong way and he does some, like, questionable decisions. But primary to that is one of our soldiers' complaints, which is he doesn't ever leave the talk unless he has to take a shit. And I know this because he has me carry his piss bottles out every day.
And he won a Medal of Honor for carrying piss bottles. Certainly not his actions during the battle itself, but the piss bottles.
I mean, that is a form of courage all its own.
Mm-hmm. So brave.
So stunning.
Stunning.
I don't know about you. For those who can't see it, whenever me and Jack record, in our little like recording boxes, it has our names, and then underneath we can have like a little subtitle which I imagine is for people who are like professionals, so they can be like, oh, it's Dr. So and so, professor of whatever. But instead, you have me, John, whose subtitle is Bottle Pisser, and Jack, whose subtitle is Piss Bottle Carrier.
We didn't coordinate this at all, by the way. We just kind of showed up to this with these.
I just love that I get to be the bottle pisser in this situation.
I'm honored to be your piss bottle carrier. I won't
Oh,
drop
piss
any.
boy!
Piss boy rings little bell.
My lord, you do look like the piss boy.
Might I suggest hydrating, my lord? It has us. Your pee is quite amber this evening.
It was abnormally yellow. He needed some more water.
Yeah, well, it's. I guess that's what happens when you're in a rocky desert-like country. You just can't get enough water.
Well, at least there wasn't like plastic bag shit carrier boy.
He was off screen. He sadly died during the battle.
You know, this is the second time. I wonder if there's any other films that has this scene, but this is only the second time I've seen the like burning of the the shit barrels. And the first time that I've seen that was in the
Platoon.
movie. Wait, it's in Platoon 2?
Yeah.
Oh, I must have forgot about it. So it's 3, because the only other one I could remember was Jarhead.
And that's on our list as well.
Yeah, eventually.
Man, this was a good movie, though. Piss bottles aside.
What was your favorite part to this movie?
Piss bottles. I'm kidding. It was the battle in and of itself. Quite intense.
The battle was really well shot. Like it was, I think it captured the like chaos of it all very well, and I also think it captured just like the intensity very well. Um, Something that I think was just a little lacking was like a little bit of understanding of everything that's going on, but I think that goes back to the chaos thing because it's like something that they constantly are yelling during the battle is like, "We need ammo to LRAS 2." And it's like I understand that like LRAS 1 and LRAS 2, they're vehicles that are stationed at specific points in the camp for, you know, like fire superiority reasons. It's just we never really get like a good like layout of the camp leading up to it, so you don't truly appreciate the like the strategic importance of them.
I mean, don't they give us the crash course near the beginning?
Well, I mean, there's a scene where they like hike up the side of the mountain to be like, "Oh, we're seeing what they see," but I don't know. I think it was just a little difficult to keep a mental tabs of where they actually were or what they were trying to accomplish, aside from the like, we're getting ammo to the machine gun, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Who is your favorite Medal of Honor recipient in this movie?
Man, Carter really had his redemption because he was the ammo runner in the beginning, right?
Yeah, he's the guy that was running around with ammo at the beginning of the battle, and then
No, like in the beginning of the movie where he brought the wrong type of ammo. Dude kicks him and yells at him.
mm, probably I don't remember that part, but
Yeah, Gallegos got mad at him. The joke's on him because Gallegos dies and Carter gets the Medal of Honor.
I think I really liked Carter's character. Um, the thing though that, and granted, I don't know like how accurate it is, but you know something that we've seen in other films is you know the fact that we have like the one guy who's like portrayed as the problem child or like the shitbag of the group, and then you know has his redemption at the end and does something heroic and is like the big hero of the day. Um, and I haven't had the chance to read Romaché's book Red Platoon, which this movie is based on, and he's the other recipient of the Medal of Honor from this battle. Um, but I like after watching this movie, I did a little bit of YouTube like rabbit holing, and I watched an interview with Carter where he talks about the battle after the fact. And granted, he's just giving an interview about the battle, but like he didn't really strike me as like a dickhead or anything like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm curious how much of a liberty the movie took in portraying him that way versus like how he actually was. Like, what if he like? I'm curious. Like, and if there's happens to be anybody who knows him or knows the story much better, please shoot us a message. But like, I don't know. It felt to me like the movie was really trying to push like a redemption arc on him.
Yeah, man, who knows? And yeah, I guess we'd all be a little frazzled too if we were stationed at that camp.
No, that place seemed like a shithole. Like whose bright idea was it to even set that place up?
Yeah, just a very, very tactically disadvantageous spot.
I can't remember if it was mentioned in the movie or if I read it somewhere, but the guys who were like actually there uh, before it was named Cop Keating, or even at some point somebody coined the nickname for the camp as Camp Custer.
Yep, in the beginning, the little exposition thing, because everyone stationed there is dead or going to die.
See, that's the like that's the thing that makes I think this movie very interesting. Is just like how continuous the combat is, because like these guys they get into like a firefight like every other day or like every week or whatever, so they're just like constantly dealing with this stuff.
Yep.
And i think I think Afghanistan tends to have a little bit of a skewed view because there's so many like YouTube videos or documentaries out there where you see guys like perched out on a mountain top and they're like calling in an airstrike on like an opposite mountaintop, or they're like having a firefight and it's across like a mile long field. Um so it's very hard to like truly gauge like something I feel like watching videos of actual combat from Afghanistan is like you sometimes don't really appreciate how intense those moments are.
Yep. Indeed.
I also appreciate the fact that this is one of the few films that we have about Afghanistan that isn't like special forces related. Um, these are they're your average everyday soldiers. They're not army rangers, they're not navy seals, all that kind of stuff. So like a truly like everyday soldier perspective of the war at this time, it I think it really made for an interesting point of view to have.
It really did. These weren't elites, they were just your average soldier. And they do mention several times that they want to get into the Marines or something, or transfer to the Marines.
No, so Carter was originally in the Marines. He left and then he joined back up into the Army. So they keep giving him shit because he's always like, "This wouldn't stand in the Marines,"
Well, we ain't in the Marines.
right? And then you have Skusa, who is trying to leave the infantry to become a helicopter pilot, and
Uh,
then unfortunately does not get to complete that goal as he dies during the battle.
Sadly, yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
or continue.
No, I wasn't going anywhere with that.
The other aspect of this film that I appreciated, and I don't know what you thought about it, was just the like the the day-to-day life that they experience in between the firefights. Like we kind of got that a little bit with Platoon, with the like, you know, barracks pot smoking scene and whatnot. But like this is more interspersed. So what did you think of like the scenes where they're just like roughhousing with each other or like making phone calls home and stuff like that?
It adds a more day-to-day mundanity feel to this movie that I liked. But that one scene where the dude where after the Broward the coward shoots that dog at the behest of the villagers,
Oh
and
yeah,
then it
fuck.
just cuts to them waterboarding each other to quote unquote blow off steam. Remember when we used to blow off steam by you waterboarding me when we lived together? Those were good times.
Oh yeah, I was doing it for the fun of it. Yeah.
real fun times. I still can't breathe right. Good times. And you'd also lock me in an Iron Maiden and put me on the stretching rack.
What can I say? Whips and chains excite me.
Especially when they're done on someone else.
Right. I think there's so many great like little personal moments in this film, but like I think one of my favorites is, you know, we discussed this a little bit with like Stalag 17, but you have a bunch of dudes who are in the mountains of Afghanistan for months on end, just surrounded by other dudes. So they're just like so deprived of just like female contact and interaction that like literally anything does it for them. And I burst out laughing at the scene where one guy like bursts into like the barracks, like basically like kicks down the door. He's like, "Where is he?" Like a
Oh yeah.
Batman. And he like grabs a dude out of his rack. He's like, "You've been beating off to a picture of my wife." And like we see the picture, and it's literally just like a normal everyday like headshot of a person, like almost like, oh, this is my like my professional website photo, you know, like nothing, like it's just a headshot of a female. And he starts beating the shit out of him, and he's like, get on the deck and start doing push-ups. And he's like, you're going to apologize every single time.
I'm
And
sorry.
so, I'm sorry, Jessica, that's Mrs. Hart to you.
Oh man. That scene was great. I thought you were gonna talk about that scene where that dude is like praying to that pair of panties that he has on his face.
Oh, that is another funny moment. I pledge allegiance. And who was it? It was like some sort of like tennis star.
Yeah, Anna Kournikova, maybe. No, it wasn't her.
Uh anyways, who's your favorite commander?
I really, well, on an unrelated, well, related note, I really thought Orlando Bloom was going to have a much bigger role in this, but he dies in like the first 20 minutes.
Wait,
He was
Orlando
the first
Bloom?
commander that died when that Humvee went off the side of the mountain.
Holy shit! I didn't even realize it was him. The shaved head really
It was the
disguised him.
it was the lack of bow and arrows for me.
Ah, yes. The lack of him being the main character.
Legolas.
Gotta say, was not how I was expecting him. Like, obviously, because the outpost is named after him, I was expecting him to die, but I was not expecting him to die the way that he did.
Me neither, man.
I was
They really
expecting like an ambush or like stepping on a mine or something, but falling off the side of a mountain in a truck was not in my on my bingo card.
right. They kind of like build up to it by while they were talking, showing the outside of the truck and how it's barely skimming the line on the road.
That just made me feel so uncomfortable. It reminded me of, and granted, it's not nearly the same, but out here in Colorado, there's a couple of mountains that you can basically drive to the top of. Uh, and there's one specifically, I don't, they renamed it. I don't know what they call it now, but it used to be called Mount Evans. I think they renamed it because the guy that they named it after was like a racist or something like that. Um,
Wait, the creator of what?
what's that?
What? The creator of who, what's racist?
No, they named a mountain here in Colorado. It was called Mount Evans, but I think they renamed it because the dude was racist or something. But it's now Mount Blue Sky.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes more sense. Due to the negative associations of Territorial Governor John Evans with the Sand Creek Massacre, changing the name of Mount Evans was discussed over several years. Eh, that checks out. So he was a player in the whole Sand Creek thing. So
There it is.
maybe we don't name a mountain after him.
Just maybe, yeah.
Anyways, Mount Blue Sky, formerly Mount Evans, um, holds the record for being having the highest, or I think it's the highest elevation paved road in North America. So like you can literally drive your car to the very tippy top of Mount Blue Sky, which is like 14,000 some feet. But I did it. I drove up there last year because we're like, oh, this seems like it would be fun, teehee. And I have never been more stressed out in my fucking life driving on a road because the road is just wide enough like for two cars to pass each other. Like there is no room for fucking error. And there are fucking dipshits who drive up there and they're like big dually trucks without like a care in the world, like just hauling ass up there. And it's like, you are more likely to fall off the fucking side of this mountain than I am. But like it is an interesting experience because you literally go from like 5,000 feet above sea level to 14,000 feet above sea level in the matter of like 2 hours. And uh, I could only imagine what like going to a super mountainous region like the Andes or Afghanistan or something like that would be, where like you hop on a helicopter and then all of a sudden you're plopped on the top of a mountain. Like I remember like seeing like little spots like when I was walking too fast at the top. So like that seems no bueno to me.
Yeah, it's treacherous. We're driving where angels fear to tread.
Took my picture next to the sign and left. Called it good.
Didn't linger.
No, my water bottle exploded because of the pressure change.
Really?
Yeah, like I just had like a shitty plastic water bottle, and when I went to like open the cap, the fucking thing like flew off because of the pressure change.
Oh, shit.
But I digress. I would say Keating was also my favorite commander. Like he seemed like a very intelligent commander, and like he garnered a lot of respect. I was especially a big fan of his scene where they hold the first Shura with him,
Mm-hmm.
and basically he's like, you can surrender your weapons to me and I'll pay you. And the villagers are like, or what? And he's like, let's not get into that ugliness. And all the fucking villagers are like, all right, here's your guns.
And that word they call him, Amata, and they say, oh, it means friend. I looked it up and it means female slave.
Does it now?
Yeah, it's not a very flattering term.
I imagine probably so.
To no one's great surprise.
What was so moving forward to our next officer? what did you think of God, what was his name? Uh Yesko?
It was some strange creature like that.
Oh, let me look. Milo Gibson. Holy shit. Fucking Mel Gibson's son as Captain Robert Yescas. I don't know. The scene where he gets killed was almost more stressful to me than the scene where Keating dies.
You know it's coming, but
Yeah, well, it's like they do all this prefacing where it's like literally it is a bridge that you expect to see in like a cartoon to demonstrate how rickety or shitty a bridge is. Like it's like the bridge out of the scene from Emperor's New Groove, and they're like, "Oh, this bridge is pretty bad, Cap." And like the first group makes it over, and then he starts walking, and you're just expecting like him to fall through or some sort of catastrophic failure. And like I just felt myself tensing up the entire time. I'm like, it's coming, and then there's just this massive explosion. And you're like it got me. The jump scare got me, but I wasn't expecting him to die by an explosion on that shitty bridge.
I was just waiting for the ambush, really. But no, it was loud ass boom.
Hmm. And then Broward the coward couldn't even bother to go after the guy who set the trap.
Broward the coward.
So, was this your first time seeing this movie, or had you ever seen it before?
First time ever seeing it. I heard that it was good.
Like I said, I remember watching it at the beginning of COVID and never like returning to it. I think I watched this, and about the same time there was a movie that came out that was about like some British soldiers in Afghanistan getting stuck in like a landmine field. That
What's the
was that was the extent of my COVID watching.
my COVID watching? What else did you watch?
I think it was called Kilo 2 Bravo. Was that landmine film?
I don't remember. I've never seen it.
Well, fuck you too then.
Yeah, I deserve that.
Have to add that to our list.
That and Jonah Hex.
Hex, yeah. I'm glad that you agreed with me that Jonah Hex is a war film.
I have a loose interpretation of war films. Jonah Hex is on my list anyway of movies to watch.
I know you have a loose interpretation of war films.
Look, I'm just saying.
Is Kids Next Door a war film?
It's a war against adults. I mean, boiling it down, war is just conflict, right?
I mean, if we really wanted to be a reductionist about it, because the dictionary states war as a state of armed conflict between different nations or states or different groups within a nation or state.
The dictionary says words. Get a load of this, nerd listeners. Is that a vest you're wearing too? You friggin' nerd.
No, it's a fucking sweater.
Fucking nerd. Why should I be surprised? The guy that won't let us have John Hinckley Jr. on our podcast is being a fun hater about our definition of war movies.
John Hinckley Jr. has no business being here. If you want to talk to him, you start your own fucking podcast about whatever nonsense.
Look,
And
I'm
invite
just
him over
saying he
there.
could maybe offer some nuance to a movie. He's older than you and me, so he's bound to have seen
You
some
should ask
shit.
him. Why don't you ask him about Catcher in the Rye?
Maybe Jodie Foster's Contact.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, is Contact a war movie?
I don't even know what Contact is.
Pretty sure it's in when they movie about us making contact with an alien species. But on that note, do you consider what the fuck is that? Arrival a war movie?
Not really. It's
I mean,
more of a side.
they allude to a war. Spoiler
It's more
alert.
of a science movie.
Okay. I know science makes that big brain of yours hurt. Something feels. Sorry, I'm just being a bully.
So, what are you drinking today?
Nothing, if you can believe it. I'm just drinking a Fresca.
Fresca. Ooh.
I know, right? I tried to make some tea, but no one told me that they left a coffee cartridge in the thing I used to make my tea. So instead of just regular hot water, I got blasted with coffee in it. And it just. That was my last goddamn mixed berry fruit tea bag.
Show you a tea bag.
I knew that was coming a mile away. But regardless, god damn it, I was excited to get some motherfucking tea. Now I have to wait on that.
I just started drinking this one brand of tea. And by God, if they could be our sponsor, I would be so happy.
I would be
Um,
so happy.
there's a tea company that I started buying stuff from. They're called Valhalla Tea. And they make some really good loose leaf tea. And it's all like, it's it's that typical like, how dude wipes are just baby wipes, but they rebranded them for guys because man, same thing. It's genuinely good tea, but it's like all father. So it's like an Odin themed tea, or they have like a Sherlock Holmes like breakfast tea. My personal favorite is what the fuck was it called? Oh, that's right. My the one that because I did their like sample pack, which has like an ounce of each one of their teas or something like that. Um, but I did Goddess of Love.
Uh, Goddess of love, eh?
Yep. And they come in this like nifty little burlap sack. So you know what? I'm going to tag them in this, like, because
Yeah.
we started doing little Instagram reels from our fucking podcast. So I'm going to come up with a little reel of this. Let's see if they can hop on board. If you're listening, Valhalla Tea Company, we want our promo code to be Armchair.
Yeah, we called dibs.
So many people are coming to them to get Armchair as their promo code.
Maybe two.
I am currently drinking some blueberry uh, Stella Rosa
Ooh.
because I'm a bougie bitch. Actually, it's because I can't stand like actual wine, so I have to get like cheap ass bottles of super sugary shit.
Yeah. I just have too much sugar.
I remember from our wedding, that was something we had a shitload of on hand was Stella Rosa. I
You
cleared
mean
like
the ones that David didn't drink?
that's right, the ones that David did drink. I think I had like 3 bottles of Stella myself. I don't know. Definitely should have yanked more bottles from behind the bar before they wrapped up.
Oh, definitely. Man, that was a
So
good time.
it sure was. So what was your going back to the part that you liked the most, which was the battle scene? What was your like what was the what part of the battle stuck out to you the most or you enjoyed watching the most?
The part where Sergeant Piss Bottle bursts out of the talk and he's like, they're not going to capture Coxgun, the Outpost 2020. And then he goes and piss bottles all over those guys.
Can you imagine like Alamo, Alamo, Alamo! Everybody start throwing the piss bottles.
That one interpreter they had, who every week was like, the Taliban are coming, the Taliban are coming. And the one time he wasn't whistling Dixie, they come in spades.
Well,
And they,
that's why we have the story about the boy who cried wolf. People
mm-hmm,
might take you more seriously if you don't say shit all the time.
the interpreter who cried Taliban and then was right for once.
Honestly, the scene that struck me the most, and granted, it was a very kind of long and protracted scene that came in and out, was when Carter went to just before Carter went to rescue Mace. Uh, was him and the sergeant are trapped in the Humvee, and Carter keeps yelling out the window. He's like, "Hold on, we'll be there. Just hold on, don't move." Um, like that just it really hit me. Like to see somebody that you want to try and get and rescue, and they're like 20 feet away, just like they're right there, and feeling or being in a position where you're like you can't do shit, like that was such a powerful scene for me.
Yeah.
And something that this movie neglected, but if you can go onto YouTube and you can watch Ty Carter's interview about the battle, um and during that scene where we see him yelling out the window where he's like, "Mace, don't move, we're coming to get you." um in his, it's not shown in this movie, but in the interview he talks about the fact that the reason that he had to yell out the window to tell him to not move was because Mace was he was like actively crying out for help, saying like, "Hey, come get me, like I'm hurt." Which I could only imagine, like that sounds awful in its own right, but could you imagine how much more intense that scene would would feel like if they had added that part in?
Man, yeah. Rough. And that whole thing about him saving his buddy Mace and all the trouble he goes to only for them to be told, oh, Mace didn't make it at the end. That must be the worst feeling in the world.
I think like that obviously had to have felt absolutely awful.
Yep.
But the thing that like drives that point even further home is, they do like a wrap up at the end of the film where they're back at a more protected base, and we see Carter is sat down with a psychologist, and he's like, "I was told I had to talk to you." And the psychologist the psychologist is like, "So tell me about the battle, eh?" And it's like, "Fuck you." Um, but he says like, "I couldn't save him. I couldn't save Mace." And she's like, "Mace was your friend." And that's the moment where he breaks out crying, and he's like, "No, no, he wasn't." Like to imagine being in a being in a relationship with a person where like you don't like them, or you don't care about them the way you would like your best friend, but you still go through one of the most harrowing moments in your life in order to try and save them, only for it to not be successful. Like that's I I don't want to say it's like understandable, like with the trauma of losing a friend, but I couldn't imagine. I can't even wrap my head around the trauma of experiencing one of the worst moments of your life in order to save a person that you feel like meh about.
Man, yeah. That was a really emotional part, him realizing that his buddy's gone.
It was honestly like it was a super emotional part, but it was some terrific acting
Mm-hmm.
on his part in that scene. Like it felt like a very real scene.
And that part where He said, "Oh, he has all of our blood in us." Oof, good shit.
That's the other thing is like we get going back to the battle, it's oftentimes we do get like the aid station scenes, and that's something I kind of wish we had delved in a little bit more, was following the medic during this battle, because like the amount of work that like those two dudes were doing during this battle, it just seems absolutely insane.
Absolutely. And you could just feel the stress in the medic room.
Especially like I forgot who it was that they brought in, but um early on in the battle, two guys brought another soldier in, and they're like, he's hit, he needs help, and the medic walks up to him, he's like, he's gone, and like immediately is like, get him out of here. Like, to everybody else has that like momentary pause of like, no, what the fuck, no, like this can't be. But like the guy who's the medic, he's literally like, as much as I would like to be like humanistic and compassionate, like I got other shit I need to be doing to keep people alive. And that's like, that I feel like that'd be such a great movie or story to explore deeper, is just like the medic who has to make those choices.
Hmm. This movie was intense.
It was. Was there anything about this movie that you did not like?
I need to think on that. How about you?
Um, I think just kind of like the the cut cards, or like the little uh subtitles at the bottom whenever they like change commanders, or like change location or whatever, or like
It was
come to a
hard to keep
certain,
track.
yeah, it's like it felt like it kind of interrupted the film a little bit. Like, um yeah, that's really my only beef with it. It's just the kind of the unnecessary cut cards.
And I guess if it's one complaint I had, it was hard to keep track of everybody.
Yeah, there is a large cast of people to keep track of. I think I think it tried to narrow in on a specific group, but even the specific group was still pretty big. But I think it helped identifying the fact that like Romache and Carter were the like are definitely our focus points, even if we get diversions with other characters.
Souza was easy to keep track of with the glasses.
Scusa.
Scusa, the Scoozmeister.
I was sad to see him pass. He's like, I'm going to be a helicopter pilot. I'm like, you go, man.
Yeah, and that brief part where he's talking to his presumably wife and kid on the phone. A part of me kind of knew he was going to die after that,
Well, he's
dark as
also
that
the
is.
one who kept the stray dog as a pet until fucking Captain Dickhead went and shot him.
God, pissed me off.
Oh. And to think we made it this entire movie without discussing the politics of Afghan relations.
Wow, I'm almost proud of us.
And you know what? Fuck it, we're not talking about it.
Yep.
That can be the next film
Maybe we'll have a bonus reel. Maybe.
where we just talk about Afghani politics.
Or we could also not do that.
That's fair.
I don't want to turn this into a goddamn politics podcast. I guess it's impossible to stray entirely away from politics given the nature of war and whatnot.
Absolutely. It's just, shall we delve into the stereotype of every conversation of Afghanistan? It's called the graveyard of empires.
Except that that nickname only dates back to about 2000 or 2001, and they've actually been conquered more than a couple times throughout their history.
Well, define Kong.
Like the Greeks occupied them for well over a century.
That's fair.
Alexander the Great beat the shit out of them.
Something
Let's
tells me
see,
occupation was
Mongolians beat the shit out of them.
something tells me occupation was probably easier in the time before explosives.
Shit, the Soviet Union had them unlocked until we started selling weapons to them.
Yeah, that really worked out well for us, didn't it?
They'd always be grateful allies, man. Now the now the Vietnamese, those are some hardcore motherfuckers. They fought off the Mongol hordes. They fought off 3 superpowers in like 50 years.
Showed the Frenchies who's boss.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that there's actually a game where you can play as the Vietnamese fighting the French uh, occupation?
What game's that?
Oh, let me look it up. But it's actually produced from Vietnam, and it's got very like. Did you ever play Battlefield Vietnam?
No,
Are you at least familiar with it?
vaguely yes.
It's got very similar vibes and graphics. Let me see. It is called 7554 Glorious Memories Revived.
7554, eh?
Yeah. And it follows, like, its big thing is about the Viet Minh's victory over the French at Dien Bien Phu.
And what was that title again?
7554. So you essentially play as the precursor to the Viet Cong.
Gotcha. Nope, never played it.
Well, add it to the Steam list.
Is it on Steam?
Isn't everything on Steam?
You'd think that, but no, doesn't look like it's on Stem.
Oh well. We'll find an emulator of it somewhere. But I don't know about you, but I think it's about that time to rate this thing.
Right. Let's see. What? I already know the metric. We're gonna rate this on piss bottles. So
You
I'm just
don't
gonna
want to
come right out.
do you don't want to do dead dogs?
No, not at all. Actually, I don't want to do dead dogs. Um, I'm gonna rate this 5 piss bottles out of 5, and they're all just still warm. What? Got nothing to say to that, huh?
Still warm. 5 out of 5 piss bottles. Okay. Um I'm going to give this 5 piss bottles, but only 4 of them are full. The fifth one is one that is yet to be pissed in. It's the backup piss bottle.
All right, let's see how many piss bottles Rotten Tomatoes gives this. Huh. So they don't have piss bottles as a metric for some reason. They just have shitty scores. And
Weird.
the Outpost got a 92% on the tomometer, and it got an 81% audience score. I'm going with the critics on this one.
I agree.
And
It's
on a final note, go ahead.
this is not an 80% film.
Nope. I must say the casting was great on this. Like a lot of the people looked very very similar to the people they were playing.
Right. So that is our review of the Outpost. Shockingly, I didn't know if you know this, but there's all the Medal of Honor recipients are part of. It's called like the Medal of Honor Association, and they're for obvious reasons. Medal of Honor recipients are kind of a close knit group. Anyways, you can go to the Medal of Honor Association and like essentially they'll act like as a middleman. So you can send a message to the Medal of Honor Association, and then they may or may not pass your message on to whatever Medal of Honor recipient you're trying to speak to. And shockingly, we did not hear a response from Romachet, because I did that this past week.
You did?
Oh yeah, I was curious if it would work, and needless to say, I'm not saying he decided not to. I'm saying there's a good chance probably did not receive it and or looked at it and was like, "Who the fuck are these idiots?" So,
He would never.
should have gone with Carter. He might have gone with it.
Yeah.
Oh well. You know, Medal of Honor recipients Romachet or Carter, if you do listen to this, we would love to have you sometime.
Yep.
Although you'll have to pick a different movie than this one, but
Not you, Broward. You can go fuck yourself.
Brower the Coward.
Broward
Anyways,
the coward.
it's about that time that we announce our movie for next week. Next week, we do have a guest joining us. I will save who that is until you actually listen to the episode. But our guest has chosen the seminal classic of classic war films, if not probably the greatest war film of all time, Saving Private Ryan.
God damn.
I know. It took us. What are we on? We almost made it to 40 episodes without doing Saving Private Ryan.
You see, my line of thinking was that it's been done to death. Everybody's seen it.
Oh,
Everyone's reviewed it. That was why I didn't want to select it right away.
I know this might come as a shock to our listeners, but there is more than one war movie podcast out there, and every
Impossible.
I know, but every single one of them has done Saving Private Ryan. It was almost I almost took it as a badge of honor that we hadn't done it yet.
But here we are about to get our Ryan cherry popped.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow, I will never say that again. That was really gross. I hate that phrase.
Should we just go ahead? Should we go ahead and do our ratings? Ooh, wow, Tom Hanks, so stunning, so brave, so great.
Matt Damon.
5 out of 5.
Matt Damon.
Next week we're doing Hanks. Yeah,
Hanks.
We are looking forward to Saving Private Ryan. I'm also looking forward to our guest that is coming on. He's become very big in the popular history world with 2 of his most recent books that he's come out with. So it will be a good time.
Indeed.
You okay there?
Yeah, I just had a big stretch.
Ooh, big stretch.
Ooh, big stretch.
You have anything else, Jack?
I donut.
All right. Well, if you enjoyed this show, please leave a review. The stars do matter. If you'd like additional content from us, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook, as well as Discord at the Armchair Commanders Podcast. You can also find us on YouTube under the name History Apprentice, where we have our episodes listed there, as well as additional random history content that I find the time for whenever the fuck I feel like it. We've greatly enjoyed having you join us. Until next week, I've been John.
And I'm Jack.
And we will catch you later.
Bye.